finally, that we're able to get everything brought up to date, and I know Lonnie's excited about that. We finally have new employees and gotten everything all taken care of, and
Oops.
I think, Lonnie, you gave us, I think, we've got year-end reports, and then we got last month's report. So.
That's correct, Mayor. We have December 31st, which is the full year.
I'm going to have to ask you to speak into the microphone or turn it a little bit there.
Okay, is that better?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
got December 31st, which is the year end for, and I think we should go through that first. We're still in the catch-up phase, and so we do have new people, and so we're just trying to work out of the hole that we found ourselves in. And so anyway, going to the December 31st, I put a recap sheet on the front, and you can see all the different departments. This is similar to what you've been seeing in the past, and you can see all the departments and the percentages. Of course, for year end, it should be 100%. And you can see where our revenue is falling and our expenses are falling in the general fund. And then the differences over here, where there are some differences. And then you can see that those items in red primarily are transfers that need to be made into those funds and from other sources. And with one exception, the bottom at transit, there was an issue at the state level, and Smitty had submitted his request for a reimbursement, and they were several months behind. I don't know just how, but that's how many months, but at any rate, that was the issue there with transit. That should have been in the black, but there was that holdup. So anyway, any questions? If you skim over this, of course, back here in the back, right behind that, there's 18 pages of detail that you can look in any department and see the individual expense items and revenue items if you have a question on it when you have time to look at it. So
I don't have any.
you can run down through there and see that we came out really pretty well for the year that we were facing at this time last year.
Wow.
Yes, sir, Mr. McClung. Terry.
Lonnie, for the transit,
Yes.
is that correction reflect in the first quarter of 2021?
Well, I think he just started getting them. I don't know that all of them will be reflected in the first quarter, but some of them will, of course.
For transit?
Yes. They had a shakeup in employees there, and at any rate, it got much better, and he started getting the money on a pretty regular basis. But there was a catch-up period.
Yeah, because that's the first quarter for transit's pretty soft time period, and it reflects a pretty good black
Right.
figure. So
And remember, these are on the cash basis.
right.
So on the last page, Lonnie, are we, from last year, we're only down less than 1% from?
Wait just a second.
Okay.
I don't mean to be rude, but let's wait just a minute and let everybody take a look at the front, then I'm going to go back
Okay.
there and talk about that page, okay? Anyone else have any comments about the front sheet there or anything? Okay, going back to that, which is the sales tax page.
The last page.
Which page is that, the sales tax?
The sales tax?
This one.
Yes, yes.
Right, okay. Of course, this is the sales tax table that you get starting back in 2011 and coming forward, and you can see each year. But if you'll track 2020, all in all, yes, we were down less than 1% on sales tax for the entire year.
That is amazing.
It
And
is.
it's fantastic news.
It is, and I just wanted to call your attention to that. And then on over here, 2021, I have the first 4 months there.
Yep.
And so, January wasn't, we were down some, but February was a good month, and we were up. And then March, we just went through the roof.
Wow.
And then we're back down some in April. However, we're still up 3.63%
Wow.
for the same period last year.
That's amazing.
So we're, so far this year, it's looking promising. I hate to say, that everything's going to work out okay, because we still don't know, but nevertheless.
Go ahead, say it.
Yep.
Terry?
That's still reflecting 2 months behind.
That's, we collect on the sales that were made 2 months behind.
Right, so April was actually February.
February sales.
Right.
And if you look, I was curious, and I did some research on the weather conditions in Northwest Arkansas in February. And if you will go back and look, we had a lot of bad
We
weather
had
in
it
February.
tough, yes, we did.
So I think that was probably the reason for that drop. But
Yeah. My business, the last 2 weeks, we lost all of it. And it was a big hit. Yep. The
so
guests,
if someone else has an idea about those February sales other than the weather, I'd be interested in your comments.
yeah. No, if I'm a barometer, we were like full for, we had reservations for like 2 weeks, and we lost all of them. It just couldn't come. It was a big hit.
I'm sure it was. And so anyway, but I just, I thought, well, something, we were doing well, and something happened, so, and I couldn't remember for sure,
Yeah,
so.
it was the weather.
Anyway, but wanted to call your attention to that. Then I want you to flip one more page toward the front, and I want to call your attention to something else.
Okay.
It's called the long-term liabilities. And you will see 2 items as of December 31st there that are paid in full.
Wait a second, what page was that again? I think I'm on the wrong one.
It's on the very end.
Second to last.
It's
Okay,
the
second.
long-term liabilities. It's just one page up
Comparative
from where you
bank
were.
balances.
Okay.
And to me, anytime you can pay off debt, that's a great thing. So we paid off the 2010 bond issue,
Wow.
and then we paid off the tram loan that we had. And, of course, the fire equipment loan that we had borrowed will be paid off in September of this year. So we will have only, if we don't do anything else, the 2 outstanding bond issues. And those will pay off in 2027. Well, both of them will pay off in 2027, which is really not far away.
Amazingly good news.
So,
Question, do we just live with it'll be paid off in 2027, or do we ever try to jump ahead and pay stuff?
We are.
Okay.
we had a program in place that you as council approved to do some payments in advance, and when the crisis hit last year, we suspended that temporarily until we could see what was going to happen, because we thought that would be, I thought, and I think I made the recommendation to the mayor, and he concurred, that it would be irresponsible for us to go ahead and spend funds that we didn't know we were going to, or pay out funds that we didn't know we were going to recover or not, so.
Well, it's good news that when we're able, we can and will, so.
Well, it was, I can't remember the exact resolution, but the number, but if you look through, there is a resolution that you, council passed to pay off bonds early.
Okay, thank you.
Isn't that why the 2010 is paid off?
I'm
Because we-
sorry?
Isn't that the reason why 2010 was paid off, was because we paid it off? We paid it off
We
early.
paid some on it, yes, but it
Yeah.
was not as large a payment at the end as we had.
Yeah.
Lonnie,
Yes.
so when we are doing these auctions, there was a couple of, at the meeting before last, we sold some things at the auction. Where does that leave and then come back in? So what I'm referring to is Resolution 793, the Police Department, Parks Department, and Public Works and Fire. They all had sold auction items.
Okay. And I don't know, those might have been online auctions. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
It hasn't happened yet.
Oh, it hasn't happened? Okay.
Oh,
But when it does happen, when we
Okay.
do have an auction, all of those items that you mentioned, fire, police, so forth, that comes back into the general fund because they are funded out of general fund.
Okay.
If it's public works or street department, those are enterprise funds, and those auction items, whatever they get for that equipment or whatever it is they sell, has to go back into the fund where that item was located.
Came out. Okay.
Because we cannot take any money out of water, sewer, or street fund. We can subsidize it and put money in,
Okay.
but we can't take any money out for anything else.
I gotcha.
What else on the 2012? Kind of surprising, isn't it, that we did as well as we did? At least I think so. And first quarter, the next group is set up exactly the same way as far as the recap sheet on the front. And you can see the percentages, and of course, here we should be at 25%, but the computer says 24.66, so you can go from there and make the comparison of where we are on revenue. And, excuse me, one thing I'd like to point out to you, we have a lot of expenses that are pretty hefty, like workers' comp for the city. That all comes to due the first of the year. And so it's not spread out over the 12 months. We don't amortize it out over the 12 months. We take it when we spend it. So there's a lot of upfront expenses in the first quarter on insurance and workers' comp and that sort of thing that we pay that will show 100%, and that's the reason.
And at the same time, the taxes don't come rolling in at the same level as they will later on in the year, too, so our income's not as good.
Well, and of course, we have, property taxes that basically we don't get until on down in October, November, December.
Yeah.
November, December. And it's a fairly substantial amount, and so at any rate, it's those expenses are due and we have to pay them, but then our revenue is somewhat sporadic as we come on in through the season and everything.
Were our property taxes, were they good last year? Did most people pay, or?
Seem to.
Okay, good.
Of course, we get a little, along, people late payers or whatever, but I was kind of surprised, actually, that the property tax did as well last year because, but I think probably those stimulus payments helped, so.
Good, good.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have another question. So the 627 for the total revenues coming in for the non-departmental, is that just for January through March? I just need to know the time frame of this first page.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
that's just-
January through March?
Yes.
Okay,
That's what we actually put in the bank.
okay, okay.
Because we are, again, on the cash basis. If it's something that someone has promised to pay or intends to pay or whatever, we don't count it until we get it.
Right.
And if it's something that we're paying, we don't take it as an expense or whatever until we pay it. So it's cash in, cash out.
Cash out. Perfect, thank you.
Based on your experience, revenues were down for the first 3 months. Is that something that's going to correct itself later through the year? Or are we going to continue operating at a loss?
I'm sorry, I can only hear out of my left ear.
Oh, okay.
If you would repeat.
Front page, general fund,
Uh-huh.
our expenses, the general fund expenses
Yeah.
are quite high. Is that something that, because of your history, knowing what's going to happen, is that going to even out through the year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, it should. Because that's what I was talking about. A lot of the expenses like insurance and workers' comp, and those are major expenses. That they all have to be paid at the first of the year in one payment. We can't pay them out and we don't use an amortization schedule where we take it like, 1/12 every month or something like that.
great,
So,
thank you.
Yes, it's, the first quarter this is fairly typical of the first quarter since I've been here.
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
So, kind of with Laura Jo's question, I just did a quick calculation. We would end the year with 2.5 million. Do you anticipate that to go up to reach a little more what we did last year? Or do you anticipate us having that much of a deficit?
Well, that's a tough question. Because
Right? COVID considering.
what I anticipate, and it is a guess on my part, but
Oh, come on, Mr. Wizard.
I'm optimistic about this year.
Okay.
I will tell you that, because the traffic that I see in town, and I take a little, typically when the weather's okay, I take a little walk at lunchtime every day, and I use that to observe the parking lots and see how full they are, where the cars are from, where the license plates are from, and so forth. And I will tell you, I've been pleasantly surprised. And a lot of times like on Monday and Tuesday, it's, they're, and if they're here on Monday and Tuesday, I feel like that we're going to have a repeat over the weekend as well. So I think that we're going to exceed last year.
Do you really? Okay.
Lonnie, we had talked about this before, is it too early to start maybe considering, we had talked about giving the employees a small raise? Is it too early to talk about that?
Well, I think that we can start considering that, but I think that we need to kind of put the brakes on that for
Okay.
just a little while. I will tell you something that I brought to the mayor's attention, and we've kind of just briefed briefly talked about it, but we're scheduled for some more COVID money.
Oh,
And I was thinking that since our employees hadn't had a pay increase in a while, that we might take a portion of that and maybe work up a bonus schedule
right.
where, and as I said to him, I think that ought to be below the department head. I don't think department heads should participate, because I think it should be the people that are probably hurting more than most of us who are department heads. And so that's just a thought.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. We'll just, but I do think that if we can,
Yeah,
we need to do something.
that would be great. I do anticipate a fantastic year, too.
But, and my thought on that, on a bonus versus a raise, some folks that we have working for the city, if they got 500 or 1,000 or whatever in a lump sum, I think that would be very, very helpful to them.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And so, anyway, that's, like I said, just an idea. But before that happens, of course, you'll have to address it
Oh, sure.
and approve it, because it will be outside the budget. Harry?
So you've got a full staff now?
I do.
I noticed
For the-
somebody's answering the phone instead of the machine.
For the first time, I will be here 10 years on November the 11th. And for the first time that I have been here, maybe with the exception of just a few weeks, I have a full staff.
Very good.
And I think really, really good people. And there's a difference in having competent people who want to be here and be working. And so, you hire some people and they can't, after you hire them, can't pour sand, so.
Very good.
I'm hoping that I have the team that I had always wanted for my department, finally.
You better knock on some wood. Just
Believe me,
kidding.
I've knocked the wood off the wall in my office. But anyway, what do you think? Comments?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
My
Could
pleasure.
you maybe supply us with how many people are working in each department so we can kind of analyze that before we consider any raises or bonuses?
I will before we get down to that point,
Perfect.
because we'll have to do that. And of course, whenever we're talking about that, of course, that does not include the separate commissions. But that's a whole different ballgame. But again, these are just thoughts at this point. So please don't go out and say that Lonnie said we're going to do this.
No.
So,
I'm just
but
thinking to prepare.
Anyway,
Anybody else?
Mayor, you'd like to sum up anything? Or express anything while I'm here?
I can't think of anything. I think everybody's, what was your question? I'm sorry.
I said, I'm sorry, I forget to, is there anything that you want to talk about on any of this before I cut out of here?
No, I think you covered most of it pretty well. If there's no questions from any of the council members. I think, I think we're real lucky that we came out as well as we do. I keep thinking back to, a year ago when we were 46% in the hole and we were scrambling,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what we were going to do. And and then to come up with, almost less than a 1%. I think we got real lucky and blessed in that respect. And I'm like you, I'm anticipating hopefully this year's going to be even better. When I'm looking back over the years, when you look at the sales tax, and the council members look at that and look back over from 2011, we really have a great trend. Our taxes sales taxes have been increasing every year. And even last year, as bad as they were still better than a lot of the years we had back in
Absolutely.
2015, 2016. So
Yeah.
I think we're doing well. I think we've tightened our belts. And
Now, one thing I would like to say, there may be some additional minor adjustments to these financials, because I haven't had a chance to actually drill down in every one of them and take a look. But there's nothing that I know of or even suspect that make a substantial change. But nevertheless, I want you to understand that I may need to make some minor adjustments in here.
Sure.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Have a nice
Thanks, Lonnie.
evening. Thank you.
thank you very much, Lonnie.
Okay, there's additional copies up here for anyone who'd like to pick one up. If there are people here, the press or whatever, they're right there on the edge of the stage.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I guess we will, at this point, take a break until our meeting starts in 20 minutes. So
Can we order pizza?
you can order. Now you have to, in 20 minutes, they'll be ready.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to City Council meeting for Monday, April 26th. If we could have a roll call to establish quorum, Madam Clerk?
Harry Meyer,
Present.
Melissa Green,
Here.
Terry McClung,
I'm here.
Autumn Slane,
Here.
Bill Ott,
Here.
Laura Jo Spinelli.
Here.
We have 6.
All right, we can stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
So
Mo-
moved.
Second.
Any additions or? All right, all those in favor of the agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Get a motion to approve the minutes for April 12th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 12th, 2021.
Second.
Does anybody have any comments, corrections, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We do have another vacancy on the Planning Commission. Mr. Bob Thomas resigned, and so we now have 2 positions vacant, and this is an important commission, so anyone out in TV land who has an interest in planning and working with Eureka and helping develop a vision plan and seeing where we're going for the future, please come in and put an application in.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can they also get those online, the application?
I think they can.
Okay.
Yeah. In your packet, you'll have the CAPC's first quarter report, along with the parks' first quarter report, and also the cemetery's first quarter report for your review. And we also have vacancies in the hospital commission. We got 1 vacant, position 3, and we also have a vacancy in the parks. So again, if you have an interest in serving on one of these commissions, please let us know. This town needs volunteers and can use all the volunteer help we can get. So that brings us down to public comments. Anybody here for public comments? Seeing none, we will proceed on to our new business, which is a discussion of a vision plan. Get a motion to discuss.
I make a motion to discuss the vision plan.
Get a second.
Second.
All right. We have the chairperson, Lee, here, who's going to kind of give us a brief summary of what you have. I see the Planning Commission distributed an update a while back that's in your packet, and Ann's going to kind of give us a little rundown on how we got to where we are. So,
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks to City Council.
and you might want to bring your microphone down more towards you. Yes.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for City Council for having me. This review, I guess, has been taken over a year, and due to the fact that we've had people come and go off Planning Commission, that has a big impact on it. Glenna was very instrumental in actually putting the document together. When you go through it, if you go through each of the sections, it talks about possible actions. It talks about things that have been done. I think it's a very good report of what we've done since the vision plan was done. It discusses why we can't do things. We don't have the money. Eureka's very unique. We're not going to be moving streets. One of the things that the Planning Commission's going to do next year is work on really shoring up some of the codes that we have. Our telecommunications code is extremely outdated, and as you probably know, Ferguson Stewart is IT is his background, so he's going to be helping with that. We're going to look at the sign code very closely. Of course, we have not completed the tree ordinance yet. We'll be looking at that. So we think that right now our major goal is to be kind of cleaning up some of the codes and bringing them into 2021.
I will also, Ms. Lee, for your information too, last year we had the East Lab of the Eureka Springs High School go around and try to do an inventory of the signs. We had done an inventory probably 10, 12 years ago, photographing and noting all the signs, off-site signs along the highway. And somewhere that got lost, unfortunately. And this was before we had digital cameras. But the East Lab went by and took photographs of a lot of the signs, which I will pass on to the Planning Commission. And unfortunately, the COVID hit and schools stopped, and so they were not able to complete the inventory. But I have been in talk with the school, and they're as soon as probably next year in September, they're willing to start back on doing an inventory and complete the inventory with the size and signage and locations. So that would help
That would be awesome.
give us something to base the future on anyway.
Absolutely, that would be great.
So, does anybody planning we do have also, Ms. Lee and I have talked about, there will be a workshop the Planning Commission is going to have on the master plan. We're hoping in June, and we'll have Jim Von Tunglen, who is the planner for the Municipal League, will be coming up. We haven't gotten a specific date yet.
Yes, he can't come on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, so we're thinking of doing a workshop on a Thursday toward the end of June. So everybody will have plenty of notice, and we certainly hope that you all will attend.
And then also ask the public and anybody else to submit any questions or thoughts they have by email or attend, but preferably by email so we can have that up. Because the workshop will only be about an hour and a half long on there. I think what Ms. Soleil had proposed was a half hour for possibly vision plan and a half hour on.
Airbnbs, and then 30 minutes for question and answers.
So, but again, we've got, I guess, only 4 people on the Planning Commission now. So we're once again shorthanded, and it's difficult to have a lot of things get accomplished.
We actually have 5.
5, good. That's better.
That's better, yes. But we'd love to have a couple more if anybody's interested.
Yeah. Any comments?
No, I think they did.
Mr. Ott?
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, she
Oh,
started.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say, I think there are updates. I think they did a good job. I think in the workshop, we should, have things to talk about.
Mr. Ott?
Thank you. I looked at it, and it's a very good list. It just kind of seems like it's a wish list rather than a plan. Are y'all going to prioritize these things with action steps? So you'll know that, okay, this is the number one thing we need to get done. Let's get this one done. Accomplish it, go to the next one, accomplish it. Are y'all going to develop that kind of plan?
No, we hadn't planned on doing anything till after Mr. Von Toglen comes. If you go through the report, the majority of the things that have not been done are due to the fact that we don't have the money, or it would just be too cost prohibitive. If you have some specific things that you would like the Planning Commission to work on, we would certainly be happy to take a look at that. But this was just a report we were asked to submit, and I know there's a lot of talk about we need to do a new master plan, and we don't have the money to do a new master plan. The airport's been taxed with doing a master plan, and it's costing them $200,000 to get a master planner.
Well, even if the ones that you have here, if the Planning Commission itself, with your meetings and with your public hearings that you're holding and stuff, if you could say, of all these things, what one thing do we need to accomplish? And then work to accomplish that. And then the next one and the next one and the next one, but a prioritized list. I mean, it's a very good list. It just seems like a list is great, but without an action plan, it's just going to remain a list.
Well, I agree with you, but you also have to remember, too, that a lot of these areas here don't come under the Planning Commission. Like the Downtown Historic District, we have nothing to do with that. We don't have anything to do with transit. We don't do a lot with economic development. I mean, I'm happy to take this back to the Planning Commission and let's say take a look at it and see what we could possibly do,
Well,
if there's anything we could address.
Okay, you know, even if it's with something, because that's the notes that I made of, where's the funding going to come from, who's going to do this? If you know that something has to be done by the Historic District Commission, if that's your third priority of one of those items, then what is the plan to get with the Historic District Commission to help them find funding, to help them to find action plans and that kind of thing? Because some of these things are wonderful, but it just seems like there's needs to be, and it's great for me to sit up here and preach because I know how hard it is. I've done several of these, but to get it to go from a great idea to a reality, those things need to be prioritized, and then assignment to, let's get this one accomplished first. So if that's possible, I would love to see some of these things developed and achieved, but it's just my thoughts from previous things that I've done to get that action plan and prioritized and at least a tentative timetable kind of stuff. Because a lot of these things are great ideas.
They are great ideas.
Y'all did good. It's just a matter of, it's like a Christmas list. And then you say, okay, but the thing I really want the most is that bicycle. So what do you need to do to get that bicycle? Right. So that's kind of my thought and my ideas on it. But it's a good piece of information. It's very well thought out. But that was the missing element that I saw that I would encourage y'all or to get with us or get with whomever to prioritize. And I think the public can really help you with that. If you get the public this list, say of all these things, what do you guys think this city needs the most? And if they say, well, it needs to be X, Y, or Z, then you go to work to, let's get X done. And then let's get Y done. So these things can come to fruition. So that's just my only comment and suggestion, Mayor.
Thank you.
Well, also to remember that the Planning Commission right now has also got their plate full with trying to work on the sign ordinance, the tree ordinance, Airbnbs at this point.
I'm not saying.
No, let me finish,
Okay.
please, sir. And what they'll do is they'll develop those information and then they'll give it to the city council
Okay.
for us to act on.
Okay.
Some of this is also city council's responsibility to look at. Some of this is things that, that I'm trying to work on also as priorities. So the Planning Commission has developed a vision plan, and they're not there to, really implement it. It's kind of up to us. And you've got a good point, though, with the public, and I think that's where we get with the workshop with Jim Von Tunglen. We'll be able to have the public involved and be able to distribute this and get them involved also at that point. So we can start getting some things done.
But it would be helpful to me and maybe the other council people too, to know that, like, if we've got the tree ordinance thing going, that just moved that one up to number one priority. If they've already got it working and a plan working, to let us know what we can do for them, what we can do for the community, and let's get this frog swallowed before we pick up another one.
Well, as soon as they get them developed, we'll get the copies of it, then we'll be notified that that's
Okay.
time for us to take the actions.
All right, thank you. And thank you for y'all's hard work.
Thank you.
I'd like to make note, the Planning Commission worked very hard and got their first subdivision in many, many years, and they also have done a lot with new construction. So they really have seen a lot of the vision plan, and I really think they're going forward with a lot of it.
Ms. Smoley?
Chair Salee, I really commend you and the commission members. This is a very thorough report.
Please speak into the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to congratulate you and all the commission members on this very thorough report. I really like the way you laid it out. You took all of the suggestions that were made, I guess that vision plan dates from the 80s, and responded with what we have already done in accomplishment of these suggested goals. And when you look at it as a body, the city and its volunteers, commissioners, everybody has just done a wonderful job of bringing this to fruition. And without having had the vision plan, it could have been a lot more chaotic. So I think, this was really instrumental, and I'm looking forward to what comes of Mr. Von Tolen's workshop with us and assisting with the tree ordinance and all the other work coming out of your office.
Thank you.
Mayor, one last thing. I hope that, and this is my goal as a councilman working with the Planning Commission, is I would love to see, in the next year, next 2 years, us be able to go, did that one, get that one done, that one's on its way. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, as far as we need to know what we can do, what other people that you've listed here can do to help y'all get these things accomplished for our whole community. Because the whole community and all our visitors will benefit from this. And also, thank you again for all y'all's hard work on putting this together, because I know how hard it is.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments?
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ann.
And I want to thank you, the Planning Commission, and Glenna, who's been very instrumental in putting this together too, and has taken y'all's thoughts and put it down on paper along with your help here. I think without that, and as Ms. Smoley had mentioned, without this update, which is something we've really been needing to do, and I'm glad the Planning Commission, along with Glenna, has accomplished this. So I think, again, as we look through this, and I know maybe not next year, but the year after, we'll be able to re-update and look at this again and keep updating it, as Mr. Ott said, and see what we've gotten accomplished.
Well, and the Planning Commission is certainly open to any suggestions. Feel free to give us, send us an email, and we'll certainly take a look at it.
And I think, when you read what you have submitted, you can see what has been accomplished if you take the original the vision plan or master plan and say, well, we really have done that, and some of this wasn't feasible, wasn't practical. It was a good thought at that time, but now that we need to look at this again, and it wasn't real practical to do that.
Right.
So I think y'all to be commended very much for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, nothing else on that? We will go ahead and get to fourth quarter, the 2020 financial report. Get a motion to discuss.
I'll make a motion to discuss the fourth quarter 2020 financial report.
I'll second.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Voila.
Whoa,
This is the fourth quarter report.
all 10 inches of it.
And it consists of receipts, money that came into the city, the check register, payroll, the long-term liabilities that you reviewed earlier, and the bank balances. And we can arrange a time if somebody wants to come and perch and look through this, but reproducing it would not really be. But you're welcome to come and look at it.
All right, and that brings us up to the first quarter of the 2021 financial report. A motion to discuss.
So move.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
And this is the same thing for the first quarter. Minus, there's one element not quite ready. Oh, the bank balances for the end of the first quarter are still being fine-tooth combed. So 4 of the 5 components are here.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And that brings us down to agenda setting. Anyone? All right. We're going to run through this rapidly tonight. We're going to set a meeting record. City council comments. Mr. Ott.
Thank you, Mayor. During my allotted time this evening, I want to address an issue about which I feel kind of qualified to speak about, because I have been involved in the tourism industry for the last 45 years. And that one issue came to the fore during the last meeting of our CAPC that I viewed on YouTube. an issue which I addressed on a Facebook post. The impetus of that post is what I'd like to share at this time. Here in Eureka Springs, we have one industry, and that's tourism. In that industry, I must ask, where's our local cooperative spirit that results in synergistic success? In my opinion, it is not refusing our Chamber of Commerce's request for a small stipend to pay for postage to send out their visitor's guide, a guide which has historically kept our local tourism industry afloat throughout the decades, a guide which promotes our city for year-round visitations that produce overnight stays in our lodging establishments, meals being purchased in our local restaurants and eateries, and merchandise being sold in our local stores. And then, right after that refusal, that no vote, that same group approved the same exact dollar amount to promote an event which only impacts one weekend. It's a great event, don't get me wrong. It's an event that has a positive impact on our community, and that event should be promoted, but nonetheless, it is an event that only has a local economic impact for one weekend. These two contrasting courses of action taken in that meeting, in my opinion, were sad to say the least. And again, in my opinion, very short-sighted. With that said, it is my hope that the CAPC at their next meeting would reconsider the Chamber's request for a postage stipend and this time approve it. It would be a giant step in reestablishing a local cooperative spirit, resulting in a move toward that synergistic success which I mentioned in our one and only industry here, tourism. Thank you for allowing me this time to share.
Ms. Foley?
No comment tonight.
All right. Ms. Green?
Nothing.
Ms. Lean? No. Mr. Meyer?
The vision plan that was just presented to us tonight allows us to consider having discussions about alternate routes in town. Things that don't cost a lot of money, but perhaps can help, like maybe, I don't know how much influence we have on the transit situation, but maybe we need to discuss changing the transit routes, if that's possible. Anyway, the vision plan allows the council to digest this and come up with solutions, not for the council to ask the Planning Commission to come up with a solution. Thank you.
Mr. McClung?
Yeah, I'd like to echo Mr. Ott's comments regarding the CAPC and the chamber postage. It used to be $40,000 that the CAPC would, guarantee for the postage payments to the chamber, and so it has drastically been reduced over the years because it's a lot of people do see it online, but it's still our primary number one mail out piece, and so I endorse that as well. And then the other thing I wanted to do was just to check in with you with the hospital and see where they are with their progress and what's going on there.
We'll have, okay, thank you. Is that,
And that's something you can
Yeah.
add to the agenda. I don't know that it needs to be, but, or something you can give us a report on next
sure.
meeting or something. It just, I saw something in the paper that brought my attention, that caught my attention about the finance offer they're trying to get, and just, I just kind of like to know what's
Okay,
going on there.
no problem. Thank you, Mr. McClung.
Concerns me.
I will go ahead and have it, next meeting, have somebody from the hospital commission see if they can come up and give us a report. Because there is a lot of activity going on up there, hiring a new CEO for the hospital and finance. They're doing a lot of good things, which kind of segues me into the COVID vaccinations. Our hospital does give COVID vaccinations. We have plenty of vaccination on hand, and I would encourage anyone who would like to have a vaccination to please call the hospital and schedule a time to get a vaccination. Don't worry about the cost. I think that's going to be able to be taken care of. This is so important. We want to get this herd immunity taken care of, and the best way is through vaccinations. Whether you believe that or not, I don't know, and I don't want to get into that aspect of it, but we do offer it. Eureka Springs is a tourism town, has been mentioned. It's a town that brings a lot of people in. As I drive around the parking lots, even today, I noticed Texas, Kansas, Missouri. I saw somebody from Pennsylvania. I read in the paper today, I don't remember which state it was, I think it was Wisconsin, has a tremendous increase in the COVID going on. That's the last thing we need. I don't want to go back to see us with a 46% deficit in our sales and the town shut down. So I encourage everybody to go out and get a vaccination, and to please, even though the governor has said, we don't have to wear masks, we encouraged it, and we had a resolution encouraging citizens to wear masks. And I still encourage that because, again, the last thing we need to do is to have this COVID continue on. It's our responsibility, not only to ourselves, but to our visitors and to our neighbors. So please take care of yourselves. The same thing goes on. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and if you get an opportunity and you feel like you can, please get a vaccination. I think most of the council members have, and I think we're all looking forward to the time when we don't have to wear masks, and we're coming forward to the time before we know it. June 30th and July 1st will be here, and I'm still planning on letting a lot of the moratorium on events cease at that point, and so we'll start seeing more activities. But we still see a lot of activities not being held because of the COVID. So again, this is an important, serious issue. Please pay attention to it. So other than that, if I take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Okay, so moved. Thank you.
More hugging too, Mayor.
More hugs.